Mr. Trump on his way back to New York City tonight after spending the long Thanksgiving holiday weekend with his family in Florida. But before he left, he unleashed on Twitter, saying, quote, "In addition to winning the Electoral College in a landslide, I won the popular vote, if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally." Now, we should note, Mr. Trump did not elaborate on what illegal voting he was referring to, and there's no indication of widespread fraud that could have affected the outcome one way or the other. Mr. Trump also denounced a push for a recount in 3 states he won: Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Wisconsin state officials will meet tomorrow to determine the timeline of the recount, but the other 2 states are still to be determined. Brian Yanis, live outside Trump Tower in Midtown Manhattan. All right, Brian, what's the president-elect alleging here?
Good evening, Laura. Well, look, it appears that the president-elect is questioning the legitimacy of an election in which he won. The fact of the matter is that Hillary Clinton is winning the popular vote by over 2 million votes nationwide. But by tweeting that he believes that there was possibly millions of fraudulent votes out there, he's essentially going back to what he campaigned on. Remember, he had said during the campaign that he was afraid, or at least skeptical of the fact that he thought that there were undocumented immigrants, people who had died that perhaps showed up on voting rolls, and that perhaps could have fed into fraudulent votes. So by tweeting this, he's essentially questioning the legitimacy of the election. The fact of the matter is that President-elect Trump and his team are just upset and over the fact that those on the left and that those who support Clinton continue to question his legitimacy as president-elect because of the situation. And so he tweeted, "It would have been much easier for me to win the so-called popular vote than the Electoral College, and that I would only campaign in 3 or 4 states instead of the 15 states that I visited. I would have won even more easily and convincingly, but smaller states are forgotten." Again, the president-elect Trump here just clearly over the fact that people are saying, well, look, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote, so therefore he isn't legitimate. And this is his way of saying, well, I would have won either way. Laura?
All right, Brian, but Trump's team, they're active too. What are they saying about the recount effort in Wisconsin?
Well, look, Trump's chief of staff, Reince Priebus, went on Fox News Sunday today with Arquez Wallace and called the whole recount process in Wisconsin a scam. You know, Green Party candidate Jill Stein opted to go with the recount process in Wisconsin because she said that there probably or could be hacking that could have affected that election, and she thinks it's important that that is checked. But again, Reince Priebus says, look, this is nothing but a fundraising scam for the Green Party and for Jill Stein, noting that she only won some 33,000 votes in Wisconsin. He also went on and went after Hillary Clinton's team for joining the recount effort, suggesting that they're backing out of a deal brokered by Trump and Clinton in which they agreed either candidate would concede within 15 minutes of the Associated Press announcing a winner on election night. Now, Trump's senior advisor Kellyanne Conway said, by going with the recount effort, Clinton is essentially undermining President Obama. Listen.
This recount by Jill Stein and now the Hillary people is just so confounding and disappointing. Their president, Barack Obama, is going to be in office for 8 more weeks, and they have to decide whether they're going to interfere with him finishing his business, interfere with the peaceful transfer of power to President-elect Trump and Vice President-elect Pence, or if they're going to be a bunch of crybabies and sore losers about an election that they can't turn around.
A Clinton team lawyer says, look, they haven't found any actionable evidence that suggests that there was any widespread fraud or hacking, but that they believe the public's concern that they've heard over hacking and the fact that Russia interfered in this election is enough for them to participate in this recount effort. And really, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders says, look, he supports the idea. Listen.
It's a legal right. It's not a big deal. I don't think anybody, Secretary Clinton or anybody else, thinks there's going to be profound changes. We will see what happens. But the focus right now has got to be doing everything that we can to address the real issues facing the working families of this country.
Clinton's team says, look, if Jill Stein decides to go with the recount in Pennsylvania and Michigan, they'll join there as well. Laura?
All right, Brian Yanis outside Trump Tower. One thing we know for sure, it's going to be an interesting week coming back from Thanksgiving holiday.